Am I dreaming? Did I take some interesting mind-bending pills that made me think that Jean-Luc Picard could be back in Star Trek? No, I didn't. I did take drugs, but that's not the reason I think and know that Patrick Stewart is returning as Jean-Luc Picard in a brand new Star Trek show, which puts him front and centre and shows us the new chapter in his life. And it's going to be exclusive to CBS All Access because they did such a great job with the last series. And I loved the actual series, but there were issues with CBS All Access, wasn't there? But hopefully they've ironed out the kinks. Oh, wow, it's exciting, isn't it? Patrick Stewart is a Scottish gent, a really talented guy. I've seen him in the theatre. I've shook him by the hand. The man's a legend. Now, let's be clear here. I'm not a diehard Trekkie, but I did watch Next Generation, both the movies and the TV show. I do like Star Trek, but I'm not a diehard Trekkie, and I don't know anything about Star Trek, so you're going to have to excuse me. But I do like Star Trek, and I like talking about Star Trek. And my opinion is this. And first of all, let's be clear. Scott Mendelson, the box office expert and so-called movie pundit, said this: so much for going where no one's gone before. Let me just reply to that. This is an iconic property. Yes, we want to see new characters and new situations, but we also want the iconic featured. There's nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately for Mr. Mendelson, he doesn't like white men, even though he's a white man. Yeah, it makes no sense, right? But here on Big Mouth, we love everyone. We don't care if you're from the LBGT community. We don't care if you're black, white, ethnic, Greek, Polish. It doesn't matter who you are. Because here on Big Mouth, we look at our subscribers as individuals. We don't put you in a box. And if you're a nice person, we love you. If you're an arsehole, we don't like you. But we'll still tolerate you anyway. We tolerate everyone. So, what are they going to do with what? A 70-plus-year-old Jean-Luc Picard? He is about that age, isn't he? Very interesting because I can't even remember what happened in the last Star Trek movie. But I just don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I don't want to see a thing where they mug us off and he's sitting in a rocking chair thinking about events and we only see him for like 5 minutes in the whole episode. I don't want to be mugged off here. We're either getting a Jean-Luc Picard series or we're not. Because if you're going to do that, please, just don't. Just don't. Leave it alone. I'd rather you leave it and we remember Patrick and Jean-Luc Picard as fondly as we did anyway. But I think they're really going to go for it now. Star Trek want a franchise on TV. And as you can see, they've been very ambitious with getting Tarantino to do a Star Trek movie. They're trying to create a multi-dimensional franchise on film, and they're doing the same on TV. I think they're heading the right direction for sure. And this broke the internet because Jean-Luc Picard is probably more legendary in a lot of circles. I'm not talking about personal before you kill me, but there's always this kind of thing: who's better, Captain Kirk, Captain Picard? Who is better? Who is the best captain? Well, actually, neither, because Shatner's Kirk has got this kind of jolly, wisecracking. Everyone wants to fight at his side, don't they? Because he's a Jack the Lad, he's a guy you could go down the pub with. He was that kind of captain, wasn't he? Now Picard's very, very he does work from his gut, but he is very kind of calm, and he eschews calmness, and he is a gentleman. So two very different characters, because you wouldn't call Shatner's Kirk a gentleman by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, you wouldn't leave your daughter alone with him, would you? Let's be honest. But he was a great character, and we all loved Kirk. Obviously, it looks like we're never going to see Shatner in modern-day Star Trek, are we? Which is a shame. Problem is with Shatner, he's into making that, and maybe he wants too much that, and he's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Patrick Stewart would have been paid big, big money, and maybe that's one of the reasons he's doing it. I don't know. You know, we hear, oh yeah, Patrick's so passionate about Jean-Luc Picard. Of course, we understand the bottom line, but who cares why he's doing it? It doesn't matter. He's a gent, I've never seen him be rude to anyone. He never acts out. He never complains about journalists asking him this question or the other. He's a gent. He's been a legend. Not only has he played Piccard, but he's played one of the most iconic characters in comics, Professor X. So it is absolutely fantastic. The thing is, we have no details. We have no details about what's going to happen with this series. All we know is it's going to happen. For months now, we've been teased. Maybe he'll come into something else to do with Star Trek. Maybe he'll cameo in something. But it's really exciting that this is going to be his own show. And he actually announced this at some comic convention. Again, brilliant. And it's been backed up by one of the producers. So it's really, really, look, it's exciting. Even if you're not a diehard Star Trek fan, everyone knows who Piccard is. It's kind of like, just imagine if Christopher Reeve was still alive and it was announced he was going to be in his own Superman TV show, or, come back to the Superman movie franchise as Superman, and let's just say at the age of 68 or something, right? It's like ridiculous. People might say, well, how could it be Superman? But we'd all still be up for seeing it, wouldn't we? So it is very exciting. No, it's not a new dimension for Star Trek, but that's to come with the movies they're going to release. There's new heads now at Star Trek because, Paramount understand that Star Trek is an untapped goldmine. They had all the series. If you remember in the early 2000s and the 90s, Star Trek, you couldn't move for Star Trek not being on TV. And it was awesome. And then we had the Next Generation on the movies. So they were everywhere and they were making money. Not big money. I think they were making big money on the telly, but not necessarily with the Next Generation movies. I enjoyed the movies, but they weren't classics, if you know what I mean. Obviously, seeing Shatner and Stewart on screen together, wow. Was that Generations, wasn't it? That was iconic. That was epic. And I really enjoyed seeing that. But this is going to be about Piccard. What would a former, starship captain be doing in his old age? Would he still be doing the job? Would he still be fighting the good fight? Would he still be working for the Federation? Do you ever get to leave the Federation? So very, very, very interesting. I can't wait to hear what they're going to do with it. And, in a lot of ways, they're obviously going to surround him with a young cast, which you would expect. But it's going to be very interesting as well, because what we haven't thought about is, could we get the old Next Generation team together? Is that what they're trying to do? Now, it doesn't look like they're doing, the next chapter of the Next Generation. I understand that. I certainly do. But I think there's a couple of people who certainly, I don't know, could we get a Riker back again? I don't know. What's he doing these days? I don't know, because he does a lot of directing, by the way, that actor. So it is very, very interesting, but do expect a couple of oldies from the original kind of Enterprise to come on. There's a lot of potential here. And I think it doesn't matter if you see this as going backwards or forwards. People are going to watch this. It is going to be put butts in seats. But the most vital component of this will be, will it work? Will it be good? Because it's no good having Patrick back and Piccard back if it's going to be a load of rubbish. So you've got to get the right people working on it. But Paramount know this. They don't need me, a schmuck like me, to tell them. But ultimately, they need to understand that it's all very well saying, look who we've got, guys. But if it's no good, if it's not engaging, if it's not interesting, if it's not Star Trek, then no one's going to be interested in it. So I hope this is not just some kind of gimmick, because that would be a shame, because we don't want the last memories we have of Patrick Stewart or Jean-Luc Picard being a load of rubbish. So they've really got to be careful here what they do. They've really got to tread carefully. And I mean it because the problem with creatives in Hollywood these days, they don't seem to be working for the public. They seem to be working for themselves and their own political messages. And it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It does not work. Give us entertainment. Give us escapism. Give us a great version of an older Jean-Luc Picard. Give us a great version of Star Trek. Do something for the fans, because I think if you do that, we've got something really, really special on our hands, and it could be a classic. So yes, It's Sunday, you might have a hangover, but Patrick Stewart is returning as Jean-Luc Picard, and I think I might drink a little bit more, just to celebrate. Just the one.